3 years prior to Walker taking over the State House, Wisconsin bled 150,000 jobs. In the first 12 months he was in office, Wisconsin not only stopped the bleeding, it added 10,000 jobs.
Well, he came in with a mission. He wanted to create jobs, and he knew the best way to do that was to empower the private sector economy. And so the reforms have reflected that. He has done things that have unleashed businesses so that they can create jobs.
We've gained jobs this past year. The unemployment rate is down from a year ago. It's not only down from a year ago, it's down lower since it's been since 2008. And our employers are feeling it.
Despite what Governor Walker has done, essentially turned the fiscal woes of Wisconsin on its head in 12 short months, the opposition to Governor Walker has collected over 1 million signatures to recall him from office, almost half of all the votes cast in the last election. So we had a $3 billion budget deficit.
$3.6 billion.
Don't correct me on my own show. Okay, $3.6 billion budget deficit. And you turned it into a $300 million surplus. How exactly did you do that?
Well, you look at other states, it's interesting. We weren't alone. Nearly every state in America last year had a budget deficit. And other states chose some of the other options that typically are done. Illinois, for example, raised taxes. Other states relied on massive layoffs. I don't want to lay anybody off, public or private. Some states made major reductions in things like Medicaid. We actually added money for Medicaid, which provides your safety net for seniors and needy families and children. To balance that $3.6 billion budget deficit, we did it the way that most people would do it in their homes and in their families and with their small businesses. We put in place long-term structural reforms that ultimately led us to balance both our state as well as our local government budgets.
Do you think the average Wisconsinian, do you think the average cheesehead understood the depth of your financial problem?
Oh, I think there's no doubt about it. If I had anything to do over again from last year, it would have been spend more time last January and February building the case. I came in like a small business owner and said, here's a problem, here's a solution, now just fix it. I figured the majority of people in this state elected me to fix it. I mean, I went out and interviewed for the job of governor for about 18 months. I told the people of the state we faced both an economic and a fiscal crisis. And then I told people what I do very clearly. I spelled out what I would do. And so when I took office, I figured I didn't need to sell it all over again. I didn't need to have another campaign. Well, hindsight's 20/20.
Governor Walker is attempting to wean public sector workers off of the crack cocaine of government, also known as entitlements, that were among the most generous in the nation. He required the employees of Wisconsin's retirement system to pay less than 6% of their salary into their pension plan. Currently, they pay little or nothing toward their pensions. All of it was being paid by the state. He also required that state employees pay 12.6% of their cost of their annual health care premiums, still well below what private sector employees pay. And most controversial of all, he nixed collective bargaining, including making union dues voluntary. But these cuts were, according to the governor, necessary for the well-being of the state, and decided to go ahead with them despite the political difficulties that he knew would come from taking on public sector entitlements. And difficulty sure did follow. Governor Walker has become one of the most polarizing figures in American politics, and his fight with public sector unions has made him target number one among big labor around the country. For weeks, the state capitol in Wisconsin was roiled with protesters from around the country. One woman chained her head to a railing in the assembly chambers while a floor session was going on, and some union thugs poured beer, albeit tasty Wisconsin beer, over the heads of lawmakers.